Judge slams Pam Bondi. Over her bold outfit, she turns the tables with a legal knockout. What happens next will shock you. Judge Harold Prescott towers over the bench, his gavel gripped like a warhammer, his voice thundering through the courtroom. "Ms. Bondi," he declares, "this is a court of law, not a fashion runway. That blazer, your whole get-up, it's a flagrant distraction. I'm fining you $500 for contempt." The gavel crashes down, a brutal, echoing bang. Pam Bondi stands at the defense table, her crimson blazer a defiant flare against the courtroom's dull grays. She doesn't blink. Her eyes meet Prescott's with unyielding intensity, and her voice slices through the air, calm but edged with steel. "Your Honor," she says, "if my blazer's a distraction, I'll peel it off right here. Though I'd argue your obsession with it is the real contempt in this room. What happens next will shock you." Prescott's face hardens, his jaw clenching tight. "You're out of line, counselor," he snaps, his tone sharp as a blade. "This isn't a negotiation. You'll respect my authority, or that fine doubles right now." "Double it?" Pam fires back, stepping forward, her heels striking the floor with deliberate force. "Make it triple, Your Honor, but if you've got time to play wardrobe cop, you've got time for this." She slams a thick stack of papers onto the table, the sound reverberating. "Exhibit C phone records. My client was 42 miles away when the prosecution says he was defrauding someone. Rule on that, or are we still debating the shade of my jacket?" Prescott leans over the bench, his voice a low growl. "You don't tell me what to rule on, Ms. Bondi," he says. "I set the terms here. Your attire mocks this court's dignity, and I'm not tolerating it. What happens next will shock you." Pam's lips twitch into a razor-thin smile. "Mocks dignity?" she retorts. "The only mockery here is a judge fining me for fashion while ignoring evidence. Exhibit D, an affidavit from their own witness recanting every word." She flips the top page, reading aloud. "I was coerced into lying. That's their case, Your Honor, falling apart while you clutch your gavel. Move to dismiss, focus on justice, not my closet." "Don't lecture me," Prescott snaps, banging the gavel with force. "That evidence isn't properly submitted. You're grandstanding, and I'll make it $1,000 if you don't sit down." $1,000? Pam shoots back, her voice rising with controlled fury. "Go for $10,000, Your Honor. It won't erase the facts. My client's innocent and you're punishing me instead of facing the truth. Dismiss the charges or explain why my blazer's a bigger threat than a sham prosecution. What happens next will shock you." Prescott grips the gavel so hard his knuckles whiten. "You're begging for contempt, Ms. Bondi," he warns, his tone icy. "Keep pushing and I'll have you in a cell. 30 days, no hesitation." "A cell?" Pam replies, stepping closer still, her voice unwavering. "Lock me up, Your Honor, but you'll still have to deal with these papers. Phone records don't lie, and neither does the affidavit. Rule on my motion, dismiss it, or admit you're dodging the real issue." "Dodging?" Prescott roars, slamming the gavel again. "I'm not dodging anything. Your motion's premature. Discovery isn't closed. That's my ruling, and you'll live with it. What happens next will shock you." Pam plants her hands on the table, leaning in. "Premature?" she counters, her tone cutting deeper. "The only thing premature is your fine. Their case is dead. Witness recanted. Timeline's a bust. You want discovery? Discover this. I'm not letting you bury my client under your ego. Dismiss it now, or I'll take it to appeals and let them sort out your priorities." "Appeals?" Prescott scoffs, his voice dripping with disdain. "You think you can intimidate me? I've crushed bigger threats than you, Ms. Bondi. Don't test me." "Test you?" Pam fires back, her eyes blazing. "I'm not testing, I'm promising. My client's freedom's on the line, and you're fussing over fabric. Dismiss the case, or I'll make sure the circuit knows you'd rather find me than free an innocent man." "What happens next will shock you." Prescott leans forward, his voice a snarl. "The circuit?" he says. "You're a peacock with a briefcase, nothing more." One more word, and it's contempt. 30 days, and I mean it. 30 days? Pam retorts, her tone lethal. Make it 60, Your Honor. Put me in chains, but you can't chain the evidence. Motion to dismiss. Rule on it. Or are you too scared to face what's in front of you? Scared? Prescott snaps, slamming the gavel so hard the wood creaks. I'm not scared of you or your tricks. You're in contempt. Bailiff, take her now. What happens next will shock you. Pam doesn't flinch as the bailiff steps forward. Take me, she says, her voice ringing out. You'll need more than a bailiff to stop me. The motion's still pending, Your Honor. Evidence doesn't vanish with me. Rule, or watch it haunt you. Prescott glares, his tone venomous. It's over, Ms. Bondi, he says. Motion denied. You're done here. Denied? Pam shoots back, twisting free from the bailiff's grip for a moment. Not yet. I'll appeal from the cell if I have to. See you in the circuit, Your Honor. My blazer and I will be waiting. What happens next will shock you. Prescott bangs the gavel repeatedly. Don't threaten me, he growls. You're out of here and your motion's dead. End of story. Dead? Pam counters, her voice steady as the bailiff grabs her again. Not as dead as their case. You're denying justice, not me. Reverse it, or I'll make this a headline the circuit can't ignore. Prescott leans back, his voice a hiss. A headline? He says. You're a clown in a red coat, nothing more. Bailiff, remove her now. Clown? Pam fires back, her tone cutting through the chaos. Then this clown's got the last laugh. Deny all you want, but these papers live on. Dismiss it, or I'll haunt you from appeals. What happens next will shock you. Prescott slams the gavel again, his face flushing red. Enough, he shouts. You're gone, and that's final. Get her out. Final? Pam says, her voice unwavering as the bailiff pulls her back. Not even close. You're burying yourself, Your Honor. Rule right, or I'll dig you out in the next court. Prescott's eyes burn with fury. Dig me out, he snaps. I'll bury you first. Contempt stands. Motion denied. Stands? Pam replies, twisting to face him as the bailiff drags her. We'll see how it stands upstairs. You're dodging evidence and I'll prove it. Dismiss, or I'll make this your legacy. What happens next will shock you. Prescott leans over the bench, his voice trembling with rage. Legacy? He growls. My legacy's breaking lawyers like you. Get her out of my sight. Break me? Pam says, her tone sharp as the bailiff shoves her toward the door. You'll break yourself first. The truth's on this table, rule on it, or I'll carve it into your record. Prescott bangs the gavel again. Silence her, he bellows. This court's done with you. Done? Pam fires back, her words echoing as the door nears. I'm just starting. Deny me now, but you can't deny the evidence forever. I'll be back. What happens next will shock you. Prescott leans forward, his voice a low snarl. Back? He says. You'll rot in contempt before you see this room again. Rot? Pam replies, her smile cold as the bailiff pushes her through the threshold. I'll rise, Your Honor. Dismiss it, or I'll rise in the circuit and you'll fall. Prescott slams the gavel one last time. She's gone, he mutters, but his eyes flicker to the stack of paper she left behind. What happens next will shock you. The door shuts with a heavy thud, but the tension lingers. Prescott adjusts his robes, his voice sharp as he addresses the room. Case continues, he says. Next matter. The papers sit there, a silent challenge. Prescott stares at them, his jaw tight. She's bluffing, he says under his breath, but the doubt in his tone betrays him. What happens next will shock you. Hours pass, and the clerk slips Prescott a note. Pam's already filed the appeal from holding. Dismissed or not, she wrote, I'm coming for you. Prescott crumples the note, his voice a growl. She won't win, he says, but the evidence gnaws at him. What happens next will shock you. Back in the courtroom, Prescott calls the case again, his tone clipped. Prosecution, your response to her so-called evidence? The prosecutor, Daniel Voss, rises, his voice shaky. Your Honor, we need time to review. Time, Prescott snaps. She didn't need time to throw it in my face. Answer it, or I'll assume she's right. What happens next will shock you. Voss fumbles, his words halting. The phone records we can explain. Explain? Prescott cuts in, his voice rising. She says they clear her client. Do they, or don't they? Voss hesitates, his face paling. We're still verifying. Verifying? Prescott growls. She's verified enough to get under my skin. Get me something solid, or I'll reconsider her motion myself. What happens next will shock you. The clerk whispers to Prescott, handing him another note. Pam's appeal is expedited. She's fast, the clerk says. Prescott's eyes narrow. Fast? He mutters. She's a hurricane. Voss, you've got 1 hour. Give me a reason not to reverse this. Voss nods, scrambling. Yes, Your Honor. What happens next will shock you. Prescott leans back, his voice low. She thinks she's won, he says to himself. Not yet. The clock ticks, and the papers loom larger. Prescott glares at them, his gavel still. I'll bury her, he mutters, but the words sound hollow. What happens next will shock you. Voss returns, his voice trembling. Your Honor, the records, they check out. Her client wasn't there. Prescott freezes, his tone sharp. Wasn't there? He says. And the affidavit? Voss swallows hard. It's legitimate. The witness recanted. What happens next will shock you. Prescott slams the gavel, his voice a roar. Legitimate? He says. She was right? Voss nods, shrinking back. Yes, Your Honor. Prescott's face twists, his voice a snarl. She's still in contempt, he says. But the case? Dismiss it. What happens next will shock you. The clerk gasps, typing furiously. Prescott leans forward, his tone bitter. Release her, he says, but tell her I'm not done. The bailiff nods, heading out. Prescott stares at the papers, his voice a whisper. She turned the tables, he mutters. But I'll get her next time. What happens next will shock you. Pam strides back in, her blazer still bold, her smile sharper. Dismissed, she says, her voice ringing. Took you long enough, Your Honor. Prescott glares, his tone icy. Don't gloat, Ms. Bondi, he says. You're free for now. For now? Pam replies, stepping forward. I'll take it. But next time, rule on the evidence, not my outfit. What happens next will shock you. Prescott bangs the gavel, his voice a growl. Next time I'll be ready, he says. Court's adjourned. Pam turns, her voice low as she walks out. So will I, she says, and the door shuts behind her.